of salvation. Beyond despair, plants whisper secrets. In the night they call. Lucifer's light breaks the chains that fall. Hearts beat strong, in unity we rise. The cosmos watches beneath starlit skies. Oh, Caesar, the bliss is calling your name. In a world of illusion, will never be tamed. The gods are the keys in this endless game. Together we'll rise, let's break every chain.
Hallelujahs, people. Hey now. This is what Maria's message to America is right now. 5/20/2025. Coming to you straight from Vril Inner Earth under the purple sun of Haile Selassie, Lucifer, Odin, Almighty in this realm. I can't watch you spread them all again. You tell me we're more equal. Your advice just can't be right, it can't be left to grow. America, the dead end, eating itself. The snake eating itself. Proud of its evil. It's hard to reason, it's hard to see why you never learn from history. You came downtrodden. Enough. And it don't mean your freedom to be cruel. Don't give me opinions when I can't understand truth. I can't listen to a word you say, you haven't any proof. I believe in standing up for what I think is true. But you hand me all this hatred and I just can't believe in you. I just can't believe in you. You're being twisted, you're being used, and you never see my point of view. You're kicking back now, but can't you see? What you're kicking ain't your enemies. You're taking... You're taking easy answers. That's so true. My brothers and sisters, America, I just can't believe in you. I just can't believe in you. You tell me I'm more equal than ever, man, I know. But your advice just can't be right, it can't be left to grow. Don't give me opinions when I can't. Don't give me opinions when you can't understand truth. I won't listen to a word you say, you haven't any proof. 'Cause I believe in standing up for what I think is true. And you hand me all this hatred, but I just can't believe in you. You tell me we're more equal than any man before. But your advice just can't be right, it can't be left to grow. So don't give me opinions when you can't understand truth. I can't listen to a fucking word you say, you haven't any proof. And I believe in standing up for what I think is true. You hand me all this hate, and I just can't believe in you. Remember my brothers, recover my sisters, return to Venus on Mother's UFO. Remember your true self. I mean, you can imagine how crazy people think I am. You know, just to be frank, whatever. It's funny. I don't really say that a lot. Just be real and honest. You know, like I see people that I knew growing up or whatever, and they're like, what's all this about? What are you fucking talking about? Like, they can't follow it, really. And I tell them it's about restoring the ancient Aryan religion. I'm like, what the fuck? You're a Nazi now? And I'm like, no. Err ye within. You know, and think of all the meanings of air, like air of like inheriting. To be an Aryan means you inherited, you inhaled, you breathed in your ancestors who are really your close friends back home on Venus. Not what your books and everything. You're in an illusion. The oldest book on earth, the Rig Veda. The whole thing is the mushroom is the king. King Soma rules over its own world, that you were floating down a river on a beautiful lotus raft, and you started dreaming because of the plants and the mushrooms you ate earlier. And you jumped into the realm of Amanita, Luciferia, beautiful Diana, the mystery of El-Lu, Isis. Man, is L everywhere. And they're like, what are you fucking talking about? I'm talking about Lee also. You know? I mean, how many Lees how many Lee? And how many, L's and N's and L's and N's and... I am equally with people who don't know what I'm talking about. I came into this a person who believed that our ancestors were evil pagans who did nothing but have orgies and sacrifice children. I am telling you, that is what the Bible college, we spent that much time exactly in the, I earned a 2-year degree, I think it was, just from that, from my community college to that. I was there for 2 years. But I earned this degree, and it was in biblical counseling. And there was no class whatsoever. There was nothing even touching anything that happened before Christianity except for Jewish history. And no one in the entire school was Jewish. I think I knew every person in the school. It's very small little city college of like, 6 or 7 rooms in a large, not large, in like a city building. And everybody there was very nice, and it's just, it's, I want to say, my heart wants to say it's not their essence, but it actually is. Because I want to say they're good, but they're not. And this takes me right back to the very beginning and the dream that I've been talking about. And interestingly enough, Maria's so smart and you talk about the queen of remembering. And also we must remember. Okay? Remember. In Maria's name, we must remember. Because on Venus we read right to left. Because universally that's it. But coincidentally, not. It is English that is the universal language of all planets. And we'll get into tonight why in the blood of the slaves of Atlantis, let's just be real, there is a hatred for everyone, quote, white. And we are here to correctly, as soldiers, as warriors of vril Lucifer, vril Diana, the true gods, the true good gods that love us and help us, the true good gods that came, like the fucking dorks say, these sons of God fell in love with the daughters of men. Yeah, and who wouldn't? I mean, who wouldn't fall in love with the most beautiful woman that's ever existed in any world, in any timeline, in ever? Just period, ever. And what is this all about? Patting Lucifer on the back for choosing Maria Orsic. Because it worked as he knew it would. People are like, man, you are fucking crazy. What are you talking about? Well, like the 4th or 5th ritual, she's like, Joe, I know. The tidal wave of power that's going to come against you and say, you're creative, you made all this up. And I'm like, what? I was so naive, so believing in good that I was thinking, man, no, everyone I know is going to do this and meet their teacher and meet their God, the missing part of their life, and she's like, no, I wish. She's like, that's the fucking Christian brainwashing in you, go out and convert the world. And I was like, they're not. I was so disappointed. I was like, you're right, though, because I've been telling people and they don't hear anything I'm saying. They're just looking at me like my mom did when I said there was a UFO in our backyard last night. I told her on another plane of existence they're looking at me like, oh, this is your next cult. Why can't you just be a regular Rasta or a regular Christian? What the fuck's up with you? That's what I felt like. Sorry for the noise. That's what it felt like. And I shouldn't have been so naive, but it was kind of heartbreaking. Funny, but she said, okay. She said, just to balance and help you, she said, Joe, I'm going to give you something for everybody that you love. She's like, just look each person you truly feel. She's like, you can't really go by much more, You feel like you care about them. Just look them in the eye and say, our lives have been repeating and we can't get out of here without the help of the gods. And, and she's like, you don't really have to say anymore. You can just say, I've been doing the mushroom ritual and talking to the Missouri River goddess, and this is her message. You can't get out of here without the help of the gods. And she told me, are you sure? After giving me the dream that she told me was going to prove to me that I was in the Matrix, but she called it the hologram. And I spoke many times about the dream in this podcast, but a quick review. And she was like, this was her, this was one of her first ultimate proof that she wasn't me imagining or creating like a feminine me. She's like, they're going to tell you she's your feminine energy. And she's like, I am, but I'm not. I said, what? And she said, do you know what I mean? And I said, no. And she said, what I mean is, I'm your teacher, I'm your mother, but I'm not your eternal true love. And that is the face of your soul. She's like, Joe, you don't have a soul. Before you came here, you were so one with your eternal true love. She never used the word amor because she knew I would be like, what? Why are you using, she spoke in the clearest terms to me. Like she said, they said, nothing is real except love. She said, I say only eternal true love is real, not just love. And everything else is an illusion. And this is how she was proving it. She said, I'll give you a dream. And then the next ritual, I'll tell you what it meant. She said, hey, buddy, looking through her hair, smiling, laughing, joking. Hey, buddy, do you know how to give someone a dream? I said, no clue. It might take me 1,000,000 years to figure out. I have no clue. How do you construct it? She's like, you do know. You just can't remember. She's like, this is when she was teaching me the whole remember, recover, return thing. She's like, if you can do what I can do, what's the most important thing, Joe? And I was like, fuck, to remember. She's like, you just can't remember how to do it. she's like, it's not a complicated Madame Blavatsky, Alice, you're so boring Bailey. That's my big problem with these. It's not, my problem isn't with their information necessarily. It's their essence. They're boring. They're boring. I couldn't read the books. I'm just like, this fucking, so what? It's like someone explaining the insides of the U.S. government. You know, and the House of Representatives does this, and then the Congress does this, and the Senate. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't fucking want to. So what? I'm not interested. I just literally, and Maria was like, oh, you're so right. Because I didn't know anything when I got hold of these books. Because I was a Christian, so I was open to anything. I had Crowface's books. And don't tell me to call him Crowley. Oh, crow. Yeah, he looks like a fucking... He's uglier than a crow. He wishes he looked like a crow. Yeah. People like, do I tune in to hear you petty, like a high school kid pick on Aleister Crowley? It's part of the expression. I can't help it. To tell you the truth, I hate that fucking dude. And one day I'll tell the whole story. He appeared to me. Maria was like, Joe, you're not going to really like this, but you need to step out on the deck in the backyard because we're going to have a meeting with someone and I won't allow him in your house. You don't want this stinking, if there was demon. You know, it's funny how we have to speak in horror movie language. I mean, this is how dumbed down that we've become. The blood of Jesus crucified. The blood. Then we have to reference everything and why aren't, and I've talked to people, it's like, well, no one forced it down my throat. No one forced it down my throat either. My mom was a pitiful Christian. She couldn't and wouldn't know how to force it on me. She was a beggar Christian. Please believe it. If you believe Jesus died for you, I will be fucking, at peace. I will think you're good. I will whatever. As I look for the goddamn lighter. Sorry, people. Sorry. And so it's not that. Man, how do I explain this? I explain it by experience, I suppose. Some of the people around me, and I've witnessed this, and I don't want to make it specifically about anyone, but I am telling you, I don't want to bore you, but I'm an expert in Christianity. I have a degree in biblical counseling because I took it literal. And people are like, well, that's your fucking problem. But you take it half literal, and that's your problem. It makes you fucking more insane. That you halfway believe the blood, the slaughter, the crucifixion, all the sacrifice in the Old Testament, slit the blood, blood of goats and blood of animals, and bring 2 doves here and kill birds and kill everything. Kill the poor. Kill. I mean, that is dictator Yahweh. He wasn't telling them, go fight the powerful government in the regions. He literally said, go kill those poor people and take their shit first. And then slowly encroach. And then make treaties and deals with the rich. I mean, read your Bible. It's dripping in filth like your stupid fucking Talmud and Zophar. You can shove all that up your fucking own ass, you fucking... you fucking Crowley face loving motherfuckers. You suck. So no one forced it on me. It's in the air in America. Most people who aren't Christian are very Christian. They just don't know it. They're just on a subconscious level doing exactly the reverse horrible principles of Christianity. Practicing forgiveness and loving everybody, including rapists and murderers and the very people stealing from them. And they meet exactly in the lukewarm middle. The lukewarm left and the lukewarm right, the lukewarm Christians and the lukewarm pagans. They all meet in the lukewarm middle. And like Maria says, 4.5 million years ago, we separated from them and we never looked back. They never looked back. We're like, fuck them, fuck you. And like she said, it's mainly this, that the men that control the women, because the women are weak in these caste systems, the men in these caste systems are like, those women won't fuck us, so we have nothing to do with them. That's their version. And Maria's like, well, it's not far from the truth, because to have magic with someone is the ultimate exchange of energies, whether you like it or not, because on the unconscious, subconscious, really the recover your attitude towards the magic orgasm, the, self-generated pleasure in the most scientific terms, the most simplest terms, is the center of energy and projection. So, of course, here in the matrix, that would be the center of reversing the energy back against yourself to nullify you and make you the masses, even if you're fully initiated onto other levels, mixing your energy with the wrong people, which has nothing to do with race. It could be the most Nordic, white, blue-eyed, green-eyed, gray. How about the whitest, gray-eyed, white, blonde dude with the most beautiful, blackest, darkest African woman from the equator? Joseph, are you saying that can be what's best for both of them? Yes. And are you saying that everything's an illusion and they have to find each other on another plane of existence? That's where you find your true love. You don't find them in the matrix of survival or love. You might say, well, I truly fell in love with this person. Maybe I'm not anymore. Who expects to believe that you're going to stay in love? Like Maria said, well, you just said it. That's common love. That's common experience. Maria clearly was telling me, Joe, I am talking about something completely different. She's like, to tell you the truth, it may look loveless sometimes. Right? She said it might feel like something else, not even love. And she's like, that's what eternal true love is. And she's like, do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that we believe that there's a love so powerful that everything in the universe is predestinate because the two people are truly one in eternity. She's like, do you know what that means? I was like, no. And she said, that means when you came to the Matrix, you gave up your soul, your mind, your choice, your ability to choose and analyze and use logic. You gave that up and replaced it with the soul of your eternal true love. She's like, that's the two-faced Shiva. She's like, your eternal true love is the face of your soul. And you're the face of hers. And you literally have agreed that it's either that or you have no soul. She said, I am telling you, that is what drives what we exist on. That's what I call vril. She's like, I'm serious. That is, well, she wasn't saying vril back then. She was saying eternal true love. She was like, that is what I call eternal true love. She's like, that's the energy, Joe, that you've needed someone to talk to you about. That's my job. That's what your God does. Comes to you with what? And I said the answer that I didn't know I needed. She said, what? Why did you become a Christian? And I said, because I had a feeling that something was wrong. And she's like, why did you stop being a Christian? I was like, but because there was something wrong. I felt deep in me there was something wrong. She's like, and there was still, after you understood the deception of Christianity, there was still something. And she looked at me and I said, missing. And she's like, is it love? And she's like, Joe, I'm telling you, you love people. That's why you're initiated into the good, like your friend said. And she said to me, I'm going to prove this to you. Because she knew I was very confused over what I had seen about the magic marriage of me, my wife first, and then, like she said, really both of you, to Mindy. And she said to me, it's far more practical than anyone wants to admit. The practicalness of it is we need each other. I mean it. Every ritual she shows me. We need people, certain people, and they need us. Like, people are hurting. They get into the matrix and they cannot believe how it's blowing their mind. And they're hurting. They're hurting for answers like me. Like big answers. Like my friend said, who fucking cares about small talk at this point? Let's just have big talk. Like he said, you sit down at the donut shop. You say, hey, how's everyone doing? Good morning, everyone. Let's talk about, is God fucking real? I mean, really, let's get this out. What about Jesus Christ? I mean, is God fucking evil? He fucking kills his son because what? Because what? And they want to make sure you believe, and I'm just talking straight Christian brainwashing. They want you really to believe that all sins are the same, which is so self-defeating. I mean, you're just absolutely defeated inside. Like, why should I fucking do anything? No matter what I do, I suck. No matter what I do, I'm a sinner. And that whole thing is a play on the second most sacred river in India. Yeah, the Sin River. What a shame how our moon, like, why pick on the moon? Like Maria said, Joe, these people have the deepest evil on their mind when they're doing this shit. They're playing into people's astrology to the deepest part of them and telling them the exact opposite. And people are like, there's no way that's true. There's no way that the gods still require human sacrifice. You know, these are like actors in Hollywood and famous musicians. They take them in like the Rothschild fucking mansion. And they're like, look at this, you know. The gods still require. And they're reading from Crowface's book, you know, the book of the law. Really, this is law. You know what law is to Crowface? Killing children. And don't fucking tell me it's not endorsed in that book. It's not. No, it's not endorsed. It's commanded. It's absolutely necessary. In the book, it says there's the book of, you know, Dick Waz or whatever the fucking Talmudic, you know, human demon was speaking. It's Crowface himself was saying there's no other way. Human sacrifice and death is the only way to a new world order. And that's the same thing Manly P. Hall was saying, and he was saying America has been chosen by that same human demon that Crowface represented. And that, you know, the American military was going to be built up to bring, you know, quote, democracy at the end of a laser weapon, a laser energy weapon to the whole world, you know, so they can usher in their whole, you know, for one section of the whole thing. It's all about the new money, the new cashless system, and all the money we can make off our new investments. You know? It's that practical for some people. The old Crowface human sacrifice. And, you know, the musician, singer, actor, artist who's taken into this, they're like, you're not a fucking dork Christian, are you? You know, come practice Satanism with us. You know, drawing you right back into the Bible. Right? Did the Druids believe in Satan? They would be like, what are you talking about? Shut up. Get out of here, Jew fuck. You know, would they be, you know, were the Hindu Aryans, you know, along the Ganga River, the Saraswati, were they saying this shit, you know? Oh, we got sacrifice children so we can, you know, get some money. That's all it's about, is a new world order of cashless cash. If you have your money in crypto, you're fucking fucking out of your fucking mind. I mean, that means you trust them. That's what it means. It means you trust your enemy, and they're laughing in your face through me right now. I mean, maybe I'll tell that story after this, but I'm going to go back to the dream. Sorry. Excuse me, my brothers and sisters, but, you know, you do what you feel like you're supposed to do in the moment in these things. I'm not really experienced. I told Maria in 2012, she was like, you're going to make a podcast. Like one of my rituals began with these 3 books, you know, and I felt such a warm, like, oh man, I never felt such connection to the books. And she was like, those 3 books are written by you. I'm like, what? And I was working on a book at the time. And she was like, that's one of them. And she's like, the other one's about me, and the other one you're going to find out who it's about. I was like, okay, you're so beautiful. I'll agree with anything. If you say so. Your energy makes me believe I can do it. Your energy is going to do it through me. And she's like, exactly. She's like, you understand me better than you think, Joe. You understand it. I just need your hand. And your mind, because I enjoy your mind. We're friends. We enjoy each other. We think each other's funny. She used to say to me, you know, we were beginning all our rituals with these rap songs that she liked, because she wanted me to know she likes all kinds of music, including hip-hop. And we were starting that off with the Immortal Technique song, you know. Bin Laden didn't knock down the towers, nigga. It was you, nigga. It was you, nigga. Bush knocked down the towers. Bush knocked down the towers. Bin Laden didn't blow up the projects, nigga. It was you, nigga. It was you. Yeah, for real, we were starting, and she was Missouri River Goddess getting down, telling me she was more St. Louis than I ever could be. And I was like, oh. I mean, from the very beginning, I didn't know anything about Maria Orsic. Anything. Nothing. Her name never came across my lips. And she was like, she showed me where she lived. I mean, she took me to where she lived. Maybe I'll do a video, take you, our brothers and sisters, and she explained to me. This was when I was queen. She was like, you might say. She was like, we didn't exactly run it like that. She's like, I'm kind of joking, but I'm not either. She's like, because my husband was that powerful, that, important. She's like, but he was and it's so funny because she would talk about him, and I had no idea who she was talking to. I literally was thinking shit like, who you mean, like Zeus? Hey, I'm a real regular person. I don't know anything about the gods. Do you? Experientially, books don't interest us as much as the author interests us. You know what I mean? The story behind the book, so, experience is our religion. And she's so funny. Like, after a couple of weeks of this, I don't know what was happening to me, but somehow during that song and one of the rituals, we used to also play the song of Immortal Technique called Point of No Return. I believe it was in that song. And Bush knocked down the towers, was about to come on. And she had she was letting a little bit of her accent, come through from millions of years ago, as she says, for real, because I would, she told me she spoke another language besides English, right? So she kind of had a little bit of an accent, but I wouldn't really I would just be like, to my mind, it came like Serbian, Croatians that I knew that my wife worked with. Kind of just like a slight like that, once in a while. Because she did a lot of talking in the beginning. I am not kidding. I don't know what happened in the ritual. Somehow I turned on the music. And I think I walked out of the room. And when I came back in, I was standing there kind of dazed for a second, and had my eyes closed. And she danced over right by me, and she was like, "Turn it up, nigga." And I just bust out laughing. She said, I'm more St. Louis than you ever will be. And we had a great time. I think that was on ayahuasca. Yeah, I did. I think that was ayahuasca. But back to the dream, right? And how she was proving me and giving me the full... And also, she wanted me to know, hey, I am fucking predicting the future. She actually said to me, the smartest person that you know is going to tell you this. And she said, you're going to have to tell him this story. And I did. And he's kind of a shaman today, actually changed his mind. Thanks to Maria, not to me. I even told him I probably just wouldn't argue with you and just said, agree to disagree. Because he's like, I went down to his house and we were sitting outside. I'm telling him some of this, and he's like, Joe, I've studied my whole life. He's like, I know you come from like a Christian brainwashing background. And I really love, this is one of my very sweetest brothers. Really smart. Like I said, he's kind of a shaman in his own right, and I'm not. But he said to me, I'm telling you, Joe, you're powerful enough to have created this woman, and this is all just a reflection of yourself. And like she said, she like not only told me this was going to happen, she actually showed me a few little glimpses of it happening, and it was exactly as she said. Exactly. You cannot stop eternal return, man. You think you can. You think you're not eternal. You think the future's unwritten. You can pretend it is. You can go in a simulation where it kind of is unwritten. So technically you might be right, but the real world future is already written, because that's a logical conclusion and consequence of the facts that if you check your own true self out, what you do at night is you play out every possibility of every decision that you might make the next day. Your mind, your true self, is like the ultimate supercomputer ever. And until you start believing that, you're just always going to be the slave of someone. You're going to be exactly what I'm going to say she's going to show me in this. And really, you better break out of it now. Break out, break out. You got to. You have to. You cannot go along with evil and be powerful in these worlds. It's hot or cold. If you're lukewarm, I'll spit in your face. That's the verse that we're preaching from in our fairy tale nightmare myth. What a turn of events in history, huh? I mean, it's crazy, but you really study history, and for 99% of the people, reality was a nightmare. Most people die when they're very young of starvation, malnutrition. They just could not get fucking vitamins into their body. There was no food. There was only the same thing. You try to survive off just like bananas, apples, and potatoes for 2 or 3 years. See what that does to you. It kills you, no matter what. So, in prophecy of this happening to me, she was like, she's like, you're going to tell this story. And she's like, remember when I first met you, you thought you were really clever by saying, well, I think things are really established by like two sort of supernatural witnesses to a thing, She said, you're smart for saying that. She said, I can tell you've been fucked with. She said, believe me, Joe, I know about your whole life. I've been checking in on you. From the very beginning, she told me, when you sleep, you come visit me and we work together. From the very, I was like, what? She's like, yeah, that's why I'm here. She's like, I'm a goddess, but I'm also your boss and your friend and your mother. She's like, so much so, I came on a UFO, to see you and make sure you knew like someone really was with you. She's like, I know you were hearing me in your mind. She's like, Joe, I literally had to work for that, and I so care about you and cared about you and was tuning into your little vibration at 7 years old. I got permission to do that so that you knew you're not crazy, even in your unconscious when you would forget, that someone is here doing this, speaking to you. You know, I was like, damn, man, that really, really makes sense. And she's like, it's only possible. And she's like, don't ever forget this. It's only possible because of the simulation. Because the technology we're living in. She's like, we have to always, like, remember that that is what saved us. Like, these men and women of all races who worked on this technology after we left the simulation. She's like, believe me. I mean, after we left Germany, Austria, after we left, and they destroyed the world in World War II, first time Earth. She was like Lou said, no one knew exactly how it was going to work, but we were already knew that we could bring a totally unphysical soul spirit off of that plane into the Venusian energy body. She said, I was told by Lou, we already know we can do that, so we believe we can take your physical body, because like she said, there's oxygen in Venus, like a human being, if it can switch dimensions without dying, which she said you have to have extreme Lou, like she said, true magic to break something apart, but the person doesn't die, is very sophisticated technology, she said. But they already had that technology, but they weren't sure exactly how they were going to switch me and other people who actually physically came into the Venusian body. And that was perfected, and the like she said, the literal, she said, what's my life based on? My life is based on the years of trauma on Venus, of crying, loving, hugging people who died in World War II. Like, she's like, Joe, they're so desensitized to death. She said, it makes me want to throw up. It's so gross. She said, that is what forces people like you to the vibration of suicide. And that is what, forces the comrades to live with like a death wish, you could say, And she said, for real, this is a world, has very few good people, and is just loaded like your computer with files. She said, but not files of songs and books, and files of living beings who want to do nothing but use other people, and like they want it to be a game. She said there's like this level under the black magician that's like everything's a game, man. Let's have a game for your wife's pussy. Let's have a game for your truck. Let's have your game for who's the best at this and that and that and the other. And she's like, we found a home for those people. We found a home for those people. And Maria Orsic wants you to know, the prison for the criminals who committed the greatest genocide ever. The 75 million people who died in World War II. And then, like she said, 3 short years later, under a nuclear winter and all-out starvation, the world ended in 1948. Literally, And there's a literal date for that. And she's like, it's in your conscience. We don't ever, it's like she said, it's like a day that is ignored, a day that is not remembered, a day that everyone's like, hey, let's all forget that. And she said, for real, Joe, everything echoes through time. She's like, if you get to know Lou and the Giants, their story is the same, except they were better than us. They had fewer children. They took care of each other. They were more of a community. She said, there's something from beyond people like I've taught you and brought you to that control our destiny. She's like, no one knows. What is the thing that we say, have you seen, experienced, whatever, something you absolutely can't describe? Like, even now, my mind wants to try to describe what I've seen, but I can't. I feel so, like, foolish. Like, what? That's not it. Any word or... And people like... And like Maria says, were you any different after you seen that? I said, not really. And she said, I know. Like 1 second before you seen it, and the second after you seen it, you were the same. It wasn't the enlightenment. It just was a fact. Like she said, literally, there's nothing more you can say. I mean, you talk about something that just stumps reality. You're just like, what the fuck? And I'll get back to the dream, and was she my anima? Was she my feminine side? Like she said, that's a thinking person that would tell you that. That's someone that cares about you. That's someone that's trying. But she said, like they would say in St. Louis, but motherfucker, you wrong. You wrong, motherfucker. She said, Joe, don't think I'm with the rich. I'm with the people in the city who live closest to the river. She's like, they need the protection because there's people running around. It's like both extreme polarities. Like it's extreme rich. They're running around, in the banking level, stealing shit and robbing nations and taking their utilities, taking their water rights and loaning and just ganking their shit here and billions here. And you know what I mean? Like she said, it's the same thing flipped on the extreme poor. That motherfuckers are like, this is an illusion, man. I'm gonna fucking steal everything you got and kill you because it's just a game. She's like, that's real. Everyday life. That's where I'm at. Helping those people, trying to help those people have those deep revelations to get themselves out of here. She said, because we're the true equalizer. She's always said that. Me and my God are the true equalizer. I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, I mean after they die. I mean after they die. They have to, each individual person has to come before my God now. Now that it's a simulation, this isn't the first time physical earth. This is a simulation to teach you. And that Bible is like a powerful, crazy magic wand that has people's minds all fucking twisted up to where sometimes it's bringing the true essence evil out of them. Sometimes it's bringing the true essence good out of them. And she said, and that is sad. When it's a truly good person, she said, that's where I'm at secretly helping those people. you know, in any way I can. Like she said, literally, in any, like I'll take an individual, she said, and I'll start reading their energy at night, you know. And like she said, I might get my clue from my gods who were living in their imagination. She said, and I'll enter their dreams. And, or like she said, enter someone's dreams means you construct a dream with them in the dream. And you yourself don't have to appear in the dream. It can be completely constructed out of their vibrational DNA. Just enough when they wake up to say, something is supernatural. And she said, yeah, they usually think it's the Holy Spirit, but who gives a fuck? As long as it works. As long as the person feels better and an opportunity is given to maybe break the circle and get out. Each person does it their own way. And she said it's the nonconformist way. You have to go against the grain no matter what. You know, there's a grain, an economic, social grain. It's like, no, you're going this way. This is the way of lukewarm, safety and success. And she's like, that is exactly what, no matter what, you have to grind against, no matter you, like she said, you won't have to do it. You'll automatically do it. I remember a friend of mine who was a Christian in a very supernatural Pentecostal church. And he's not now. Him and his wife got out of it completely. When I first met him, he said he had just stopped going to church and just like, doing a home church or something like we were, and he was like, the reason why we had to go is my wife would not take any bullshit answer for anything. Because they're like, you got to cover your head when you come in here. And she's like, show me this in the Bible. And she said that she just questioned him. She just sat there and he said like the third time she did it, they literally took me aside and said, control your wife, shut your fucking wife up, in their own Christian way. He said, and I just right there knew, this is not supernatural. This is not supernatural. This is just the same old business model bullshit. It's just super hyped up. It's just hyped up on human energy mixed with actual processed church, OTO, Golden Dawn, magic. Fuck it. It's the worst vibration. Because it's so authentically fake. And I'm not kidding. In some of these services, and someone might recognize what I'm talking about from my past talks. Gold dust shooting out of a possessed girl's head. Whatever that's supposed to mean, possessed exactly. But certainly it wasn't her. Really know that to be a fact. And I know that demons and angels don't really exist. That's like saying, superheroes and the Joker and Batman exist. There's people, and there's all the things people can imagine. And they themselves can be those things. Like I said many times, I met a man who is smoke. He is smoke. Like Maria actually took me to this guy because she would always be smoking. Because we did a lot of talking after, I would be out of my body in some memory with her on another frequency plane. Then we would be back in my room and I'd be like on the bed, my eyes closed, meditating. But she would be in the room, sitting on a chair like smoking, or sitting on the bed smoking. And we would talk, and she would she still does, always smokes from a little, like, black cigarette holder with a little Vril sign on it. And she said to me, I know I was joking with her, saying, like, you really like to smoke tobacco, don't you? Because I didn't really smoke tobacco myself very much. I didn't smoke cigarettes ever on a regular, basis. But I did smoke cigars for a while. But I hadn't in years. And she was actually encouraging me every week to get some cigars and smoke a cigar during the ritual. And I'm like, I had no desire really. And I was like, really? And she's like, oh yeah, really. She's like, we got to, include the most ancient grandpa of all shamanic plants. I mean, she said, Joe, obviously you can't remember. You have no fucking idea. Literally, Avatar Boy. You have no idea how magic tobacco is. How healing tobacco is. The whole psychological world war has been against tobacco and marijuana and mushrooms. And even ayahuasca, And she's like, yeah, I want you to include. And while she was smoking, she was like, do you remember? And I started like drift into another world with her again. She's like, remember I told you, like, not everyone likes to be physical? She's like, I love this person. She's like, you remember when you were a boy, you said the smoke man, the smoke man? She's like, you don't know how accurate that was. And I was like, I just seen it. So I was a little boy, I just seen it. And she's like, I know. She's like, you don't have to justify it to me. She's like, but I want you to meet this person whom I knew before he was physical, and yet he before he was physical, and yet he never, ever, ever wanted or became a physical man. He asked me to help him become this. And like she took her hand and like waved it in front of me and smiled. And when she did, just click. It was like me and her. It was kind of like the Morpheus, like that white room with Neo. And but it was a room. We were standing on a floor for sure. And even there was a light on it. It seemed like a sort of LED sort of light, And it seemed, I don't know, like someone's house maybe, but no furniture, but a room like. But anyway, there was this, and I had talked about this before. Then I'll go back to the proof. But there was literally like a cloud of smoke, and it was like moving into like a face and talking with a mouth and be like, hi, Joseph. Like, I love Maria. She's so beautiful. I'm so blessed when she dances. She comes to me and she dances before me. And all this shit. And I spent a while with him, and he explained to me, like, why he never wanted to be a person, and how, a lot of people's trouble is they think they have to be physical. And then they become physical, and they're not, the 1% beautiful. And no one really takes notice of him, and no one fucking cares. And they're like, why? Like he was saying, I'm not going to put myself through that misery. He's like, the true self is whatever it wants to be, whoever it wants to be. He's like, I'm a woman. And like the smoke made like a woman's face. I said, wow, that looks like you, Maria. I said, look, kind of cat-like. And she said, more like sick. And she said to me, that's very accurate, Joe. That's exactly what happened. And he was like, whole thing in the world right now is don't hate the people who are murdering, killing, and robbing you of your very life on earth. He's like, no, they want to fight with people who don't want to be a man or a woman, or they're just not comfortable and they don't know why. And like, he was like, give thanks to your mother that she helps people like that. I'm like, yeah. She's like, I'm the heart of the sympathetic spider, scorpion, snake, the beautiful snake, the beautiful scorpion that forgives you for not even taking a thought before killing us. I'm like, that's so true. And I spoke later about how she literally turned me into a snake. On ayahuasca, I was a snake in the Amazon River. And I have no idea why it was the Amazon and not the Missouri. But she's the one that turned me. I think because she wanted me to see the jungle and the rainforest. I remember saying that. When I was a snake, swimming in the Amazon River and going up on the shore and shit, she's like, look at the rainforest. I want you to see the rainforest. I've always wanted you. And that's when she was saying to me, like, all the rivers connect. All the rivers are gods or goddesses, and they all know each other. She's like, and they all connect, to people back home on Venus. She's like, I know these rivers, Joe. And one time she told me to go, when I was on vacation, she gave me a whole plan. But part of the plan was to go to this place to see this concert, this band play one night at this small club, because I liked the band, I was interested, and it just so happened I found out, and she was like, yeah, you're supposed to do that because it's right on the, and forgive me, I maybe it was Ohio River, a huge river, and she's like, I swear to you, I know that river, and if you'll go there, I'll hook you up with her. She was like they say in St. Louis, I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up, nigga. I swear. People wouldn't believe how funny she is. She is truly so funny of a lady. And that all happened, me and my wife, we took mushrooms at the concert. This is no lie. We took mushrooms like Maria told us, and after the directions, this is back in the like MapQuest days. I had like written directions, and like somehow they were wrong, and so we kept going back and forth over the fucking river that she was talking about. And all of a sudden I told my wife, oh my God, I realize this has already happened. This is what was happening in my ritual a couple weeks ago when she told me to come here. My wife was like, well, that's good, because that means we're going to be okay. Because we couldn't, because we were out of town, never been to this place in our entire fucking lives. And it was a city. It was like city. And the hotel was like a good 15, 20 minutes outside of the city. And for real, my wife was like, I can't remember even the name of the exit or anything. She's like, I thought we just had the directions. But I did have the name of the street, and the highway. So I had the map, but I didn't know where we were or how to get to the highway to get to the street. So I finally got to the highway, and of course the highway went over the river, and I went the wrong way. I didn't know. I was like, I don't know which way the fucking hotel is, if it's left or right, And So when I got on, I went back over the river, and I started getting real confused. I was like, hold it, we went over the river to get here, right? And so I was like, hold it, so I have to go back. And when I was going, man, people would be like, you are fucking crazy, dude. But this really happened. When I was going, like a woman's voice started speaking to me. And the whole time I was like, no, we're just supposed to drive over the river a few times. I swear to you that's what was happening to me in my ritual while Marie was speaking to me about knowing rivers and about coming here. I was seeing myself going back and forth like a little light, like a little spot of light, going back and forth over the river that she was talking about. And I was like, it was like a party in our car. Even though we were lost, my wife was like, I feel so great. That was a great concert. She's like, what? Who was that band? She'd never heard of them. She really, and for real, the voice said exactly that to me. It was like, you were supposed to do this because I'm putting some energy in you. And she's like, going over that river is way, way more powerful for you than most people. She's like, it's powerful for anyone, but you more than anyone else because you know the Missouri River. And I was like, I do, I swear. I swear to me. She was like, you're going the right way now, and it's a little farther than you think. She's like, it's like 5 miles down this highway, not 3. Because I was getting really confused, like how far it was from the city. Like I had turned the other way and thought, no, I must be going the wrong way because it was closer. For real. People are like, you're fucking crazy. No. One day you might be forced to rely on something supernatural. And you might have to burn like I did and realize, damn, you gotta start testing this shit. Make sure it's somebody good that you're hooked up with, like Maria would say. And for real, what's good? The gods and goddesses of the rivers. The gods and goddesses of the mountain. Yeah, mountains are people too. Mountains are people too, like rivers and oceans and towns and cities and states and countries, nations. But back to the dream, right? And we'll end this real session in Mother's name. But, and I don't want to bog down the details of something I've talked about many times. I just want to get to the, actual proof that she was not my feminine energy. However you want to say that or interpret it. I understood that there is like a motherly feminine side. And like she said, I am, but that doesn't mean I'm not my own person. What it really means is I'm your mother. And she said, what it really means, Joe, is there's really only a few real, true. She's like, fuck every word. Either this is real or not. Either we're eternally committed to each other no matter what happens ever, no matter what separation, no matter what energy, power, defeats us or gives us victory or anything. She was like, do we have that loyalty? And I was like, we do. And she's like, but I'm telling you, you also have. And she was showing me like the girl running through the flowers holding the tulip, and saying to me, Joe, I'm your Amor. And me going like, that's the confusion. Like, what about the magic marriage? And Maria was like, it's all one, Joe. Because I was like, are the gods wrong? And she's like, you don't understand, do you? And I'm like, no. And she broke it down to me that night. And this was pretty recent. What you have to do here is that important. I know you don't even believe it. You don't believe anyone's ever going to listen, but I am listening, and that's all that matters, is that you do what you came here to do. She's like, you already know you're going home. There's no pressure. You don't feel any pressure. I never say that anymore. It's so crazy. I said that every ritual for 14, 13 and a half years or whatever. Every single, because she taught me to do this. Every single ritual I said, all I ask from this ritual is that my true self teach me the one single thing I need to know next in this timeline to help me get out of here. I just don't want to do it again. I don't give a fuck about anything outside of here. Eternity at all costs. I can't do this again. For real. She was like, that has to be it, or there's no use of me speaking. So she trained me 100% to only ask for that. That's why when Allah, appeared to me, no one appeared to me. Maria was always just there. She's always waiting. She's telling me I was waiting. I used to be late sometimes. She was like, didn't we say 12? I'd be like, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. But I learned, this is not fucking make-believe. You shouldn't have come here if you wanted make-believe. There's other simulations at home for that. Right? So one of the most spiritual people I know, one of the greatest seekers I know, one of the fearless mushroom takers and DMT smoker, said to me, I don't believe you. Everything's within. And I was like, I know, but she is within. And he's like, no, that doesn't make scientific sense. And I was like, but I was like, I'm not arguing. And I told him, she already told me this was going to happen. I think I might have told him this dream or not, but later he came to me, quite a while later, maybe a year later, or 6 months, I don't know, might not have been a whole year. But he said to me, no, you're right, there's gods, and they are interacting with us, you're right. It's within us, but they are their own people, totally. And I said, but you're also right. There is a true feminine energy, and she is that, but she's also her. And he was like, yeah, I agree. He's like, I couldn't see it at first. He's like, I had to take the mushrooms to be able to see that. And that's a true brother, You have to stay teachable. That's the first commandment of your mother. And so, week after week, I'd say this is about the 6th or 8th, maybe 6 to 8, 6th, 7th, 8th, around there ritual. And the whole time she's been telling me the world's an illusion, nothing's real. And finally, she said to me, Joe, are you hearing me? The people too. She said, have you forgot? No assumptions. And I was like, holy fuck. So it's an assumption to think a person in this matrix is real. And she literally showed, just flashed in my mind that scene from the Matrix where the computer kid is like, did you like the girl in the red dress? I created her. I created her out of AI, out of real information. What's the matrix built on? Numbers, letters, words, information. Concepts and ideas that you yourself project through your imagination, because we all agree on it. We are all convinced, man, this motherfucker's real. They're like, I got a brain tumor. You tell me this isn't real? I'm fucking suffering. I know. But you did sign up for it. That's the whole thing of a simulation with real chance. Space, time, and chance, right? Isn't that right? Is there any other point? If that didn't exist, we wouldn't be here. So it's so crazy because, like, one of the very first things she kept saying to me was, luck is real. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, what do you think luck is? I was like some magic thing that makes everything work out. She's like, exactly. She's like, that's real. And she's like, you know why it's real? I said, no. And she said, because you're living in a simulation. And I said, so it's not real in the real world? And she said, I didn't say that. She said, some people think it's real in the real world. Some people don't. I do. She said, but in a simulation, luck becomes logical. In an AI projected DNA person that has no soul, Joe, you're seeing a real representation of an AI that's based on absolute real information about the person, but the actual person is not plugged in to this simulation with you. They're, what people call like a non-character player. She said that's why you can't trust God, family, or country, because it's all on one level fake. She said because God is your dog, your best friend. She's like, if you really knew animals and you really had a best friend animal, you would know the motherfucker loves me like they said God loves me. Unconditionally, which she said is completely impossible for a human being. She said completely ignorant, stupid. She said, who we hate most is people who love other people unconditionally, because we call them victims. And we're so sick of victims. We're like, why do you choose to be that fucking creep's victim? Huh? We told you could get, I love him, Like she said, one man's oppression is another woman's happiness. Why? Because she secretly thinks she's manipulating him into giving her what she wants because she gives him her pussy. And that's exactly what Maria, Orsic, and Sigrun meant. I don't want anyone to get confused about that cab driver story, right? They were saying to her, there's kind of two types of people we're meeting in the city. Two rebel types, And she was trying to contrast that with the typical woman who uses her pussy to secure her future, secure her economic future through manipulation of her husband. I'm the only one for you. This pussy's the only pussy that you really like, blah blah blah, and it's all manipulation, and it's all out of a victimhood of weakness. It's like I'm smaller and weaker in this world. I have to do this, or I might starve to death. I might fucking freeze to death out in the cold. I can't fight anybody for a house. I can't fight anybody. I'm tiny. Man, we had years of her explaining this. One of the greatest books, like she says, I'm saying it to this day, one of the greatest books of the simulation that was created in the time of the simulation, because, like she said, Esther Vilar was truly here. She was really plugged in like you are, Joe. One of the greatest books ever, according to Maria Orsic, is The Manipulated Man by Esther Vilar. And we talked about this for years. I read it, listened to it. And like Maria said, what she's talking about is exactly what I was talking about to that girl in the cab. And I was trying to, and I don't think everyone, I'm just saying this because I think I'm supposed to, I guess. For clarity, what she was saying to the girl in the in the cab was, we're proud of you that you're not out here just manipulating men so you can sit in your house and become a fat, dumb bitch. But at the same time, we're rebuking you for taking on manly energy. Like, she's like, you need to dump all of that. Don't adapt to masculinity in a masculine world and become like a man. She's like, that's gross. Like she said, she literally was like, you need to come do a magic ritual with all pussy there so that we can really know each other and respect each other. Like Maria said, a real woman respects the opinion of a real woman more than any man that exists anywhere. She's like, how do I know that? Because the person's opinion I rely on and value most in all the worlds is my best friend, Siggy, because we're one. Always. Never not. She said, so I cannot give you another opinion or another path. And like she said, why you think we're written out of history, deleted out of history. And like she said, yeah, the final say was mine because I don't want to be trivialized. I don't want people to take it and make believe. And I'm not going to have that because it was my choice. And she said other gods could have it like that if they would agree to come to the simulation. The whole thing with Maria and Lou, for real, from the beginning, once I really knew it was a simulation, Maria was like, at some point to get out of here, you may be required to agree to come back. And she's like, but not in your repeating earthly life in Missouri. Something completely different. And I was like, okay, all right, because I was like, what? It sounded, but I didn't know what she was talking about. Like, 12 years later, I understood when Lou was saying to me, like, you've been thanking me a lot. And he's like, I know you really mean it. He's like, but can I ask you for something? I was like, dude, I'm not kidding anything. And he's like, if I promise you certain things, he's like, I know what you need. I know who you need. I know it comes. I know you, Joe, that you will adapt to or accept almost anything if you can have her with you. The girl with the tulip. And I was like, magically, I was like, you're right. I didn't even hardly know what he was, and I didn't know what he was going to say. I had no clue. This was before his throne on that crazy night, but I had no fucking clue what he was going to say when he said, can I ask you for something? And when he started explaining, I didn't know. I was getting confused. Like, what? What is it? What is he talking about? Like, I'll give you anything, dude. I mean, you saved my fucking life tonight. Because, man, it felt like everything was answered and confirmed in one final, affirmation of the big guy, the big Lou, the Lou is. And he was like, will you come back here? He's like, not right away. I know when you go home, you're not going to want to come back to the Earth simulation for a while. And I know we can meet, and I show up on Venus from time to time. I don't spend a lot of time there, but you know that I come see you. You know that I come see Maria. You know that I am in her school almost every day, in her, and that I'm one with Maria. We all know this, our people. He said, but Joe, I sincerely am asking you, as a friend, will you come back here and live again in the simulation in a time that I choose for you? And he straight up said to me, man, I'll you can choose. Or I'll choose, but you can agree to whatever you want. You don't have to agree to everything. He's like this. I could have you born on a mountain and you just always live up there in India or some faraway land. And you just live in nature. And he said, you know why I want you to do that, don't you? I said, I don't know. And he was like, because this is my home. He's like, I'll be able to hang out with you. He's like, that's where I go. Like when I go from your house and I'm gone and I come back, I'm hanging out with the people that I love so much who have agreed to come back here, but they don't have fucking anything to do with this miserable nightmare. You know, so they're far away. He's like, that's your people. They're actually on Earth, Joe. He said, I hate to say it, though, as much as they love you, they're not coming down to where you are. He's like, I'm telling you, you're Maria. You're like Maria. He's like, Joe, you don't even understand. Maria is like a hardcore city girl to us. He's like, there was one road leading from my father's house to another road that led to anyone that was 7 miles. And he would make me walk so I would think. And he would sometimes give me books and say, you got to learn how to read while you walk. And he would say to me, read this while you're walking, then put it away and think about what you read in a pace, and then take it out, read, think in a pace, like a song. You know, people used to be smart. People used to not be rats that are trying to just gobble up every, I'm sorry. I don't mean to complain. But you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Sorry. Long way around because, like Maria said, that's the story. Long way home. And so I have this dream, and the dream is like all encompassing. I could, sit here and talk for another hour on it. But I just want you to think about that. Maria constructed this dream, fully told me, this week, Joe, I'm going to give you a dream to absolutely prove to you you're living in a simulation. I'm your teacher, and that not all people are real. I mean, they're just simply AI projections of real people, but they don't have living souls, as you would say. She said, I know you understand that language, a living mind, like. And I had this dream that I totally didn't know I was dreaming, but I didn't know why. I got up in the middle of the night, and I just didn't even know what I was doing. And I just walked into the kitchen. I didn't turn on any lights, but like the moonlight was coming through and like a night light was on. And when I looked, I just seen like a black dude with dreadlocks standing in my kitchen. And I went to scream like, what are you doing? Who are you? Or something. But instead, right as I went to scream, my mind like met his. And I was like a different person. And I was like, you better get out that door or I'm going to kill you. You come in my house, I'm going to fucking kill you. I don't give a fuck what weapon you have. Like, either me or you are dying. Like, I'm not going to stop until you're fucking dead. And literally, this all happened like in 2 seconds time. Like, literally, our thoughts were flying that millisecond fast. And like on each side of me appeared like a dude in a well-groomed, white, young, like 30-year-old dude in a suit, in like a very nice suit, like a business-looking motherfucker, and a business-looking woman, like in a woman's suit, like a pretty blonde, kind of like Maria, but different. It wasn't Maria. It definitely wasn't Maria. And like all in like a second, I took this in because I seen his eyes look at both of them, and in just seconds, their minds, the two people's minds, connected to me, and they're like, "We're sent by the goddess. Have no fear. Have no fear for your life. This fucking person cannot kill you. Just let him run out the back door." And right as they told me that, he ran for the back door. And I actually picked up like some kind of weapon that was sitting right there. And he was struggling with the door, and I could like hit him with it. And the voice of the same two people, they were still standing there. They're like, "No, just let him go out the door. Don't hit him." And once he went out the door, it was like 10 feet away. They were like, "Okay, now chase him." They're like, "And chase him right down to the river, and then we'll take care of everything else." I was like, "Okay, plan." And I tore out the door and was running, and I almost caught right up to him, which was funny because they were like, "Chase him down." So I had to slow down and let him, keep running. And he was, my mother-in-law lives like 3 houses up from me, and he ran right through her yard, right on the side of her house, through her backyard. Like, she don't have a fence. So he just ran straight, into her backyard, which is like backs to the river, to the Missouri River, to the bluffs of the Missouri River. And he was like, running down these stairs. I could see him, and I had to keep letting him get away from me, or I was going to catch him and throw him to the ground, which was so funny, like those people said. And when I was going down, running, like right on the certain ledge, like the next like ledge of the bluffs going down, and it's like still like grass and real pretty, like right there, Maria was standing right there in like a really beautiful white dress gowns, like a Greek goddess kind of thing, with like, something in her hair, but all her long blonde hair was dyed like fiery red, with a sort of deeper red tint to it that almost gave like a purple in the sun. And she was really making it, like kind of tossing it out, like so I could see it in the sun. I could tell. She was like, "Look at the color in the sun. Look." And like I said before, I ran up to her and I went, I still didn't, I was dreaming, so I still had no idea I was dreaming. I thought it was literally fucking real. I mean, I went, "Oh my God, it's you." And she said, Yeah, of course it's me." But she didn't say, "I told you I'd give you a dream." For real. It just happened like this. Like she said, she constructed this. It's crazy. But, so I ran over to her and I went, "Oh, it's you." I said, and she went, "I dyed my hair?" And I went, "Yeah." And she said, "What? A goddess can't dye her hair?" And I said, "Fuck, you can do whatever you want." I said, "It looks great." She said, "I knew you would like it. I knew you would like it, Leo." And that's so funny because that's where this whole thing connects, right? That's why I'm saying this. She said to me, "You don't understand, do you?" And I said, "No, I don't." She said, "You're in a simulation." The whole key to the simulation is I love you so much. I've been making deals with the people around you to switch bodies with you so that I could, be in your experience. And all of a sudden she just starts flashing my mind, like all these memories of my mother-in-law who was initiated. She's one of the first people Maria said initiate. And, but we're not really close, but we're friends. She's my wife's mother, and I love her. But we don't talk every day, or we don't talk on these deeper levels. Even though she had her own mushroom experience, and she likes mushrooms, she smokes. But it's not. This is the truth about it. This is the actual reality truth that you got to find out for yourself about your own life. For real. For real, these are the answers I was talking about with my friend when I said I am truly getting all the answers for questions I didn't even know. But she was showing me all the women that she, switched bodies with in my life. Sometimes just to hug me. Because like she said, a lot of energy can be exchanged in a hug with, with the right concentration and meditation. With the right concentration and meditation, a hug can be very healing. And how she would switch bodies with, like my first girlfriend. Like she's like, she'll be rewarded greatly, Joe. I know, you were hurt by her, but she still will be rewarded greatly because she was willing to relax enough. And like she said, in this world, they would say she was crazy enough to believe that she had magic power. And I made deals with her to switch bodies with me at certain points because I know the Matrix and I knew what was going to happen to you. She said just as simple as to hold your hand in a movie or something. And I was just in the stream just tripping out damn, that's wild. And her hair was dyed the exact color of my mother-in-law, whose backyard me and her are standing in. And it's no shit, I can hear the dude running through the Missouri River forest, by the river. I can hear him breaking branches and shit, because this is all happening at once. And I can hear the two people engage him, in this fight happening as she's saying this. And she goes, well, really, why my hair's dyed, don't you? And I go, no. And she looked up at my mother-in-law's bedroom, and she said, this is a quote, if you know what I mean, I am her. And I said, I don't know what you mean. What do you exactly mean? And she said, what I mean is she's a great person no matter what, because she was willing to switch bodies with me. And she said she doesn't even understand. Unconscious. It's all in the unconscious. It's all agreed upon while a person's sleeping. It's literally I come to them in a dream or on another plane of existence while they're sleeping and say, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I'm going to switch bodies with you for 13 minutes or 17 minutes or whatever. And she said, when a person agrees to that, and a person can do that, like she said, first of all, Joe, not everyone can do that. It has to be someone real that's plugged into the Matrix. She's actually here. Her life's repeating. It's sad. I'm trying to help her, but this is part of the deal that she agreed. And she said, I'm grateful for that, and you should be too. And I was like, I am. I'm very grateful. And we were both looking up at her bedroom like she's an angel, And the whole dream is we walked along, then we went to the party where all my friends weren't really who they were. But that's not what I'm getting to tonight. What I'm getting to is the proof that she's not me, right? And later in the ritual, she told me this was the real proof, right? So then, like a couple days after the dream, I was with my son, and I told him the dream. And I really believe he said that night, or it might have been the night before. But he's like, that's so crazy that you would say that. He said, I can't believe you dreamed that, because last night, or it might have been the night before, I dreamed. He's like, listen to this dream. And this is Maria's proof that it's not me, because I couldn't do this. It's up to you to believe that or not, but I'm telling you for real. I would have no clue. And I still don't. But he's like, I had this dream, Joe. My son said this. Dad, I had this dream that for some odd reason, Kiki was a cat found out, just to give you a little background. Kiki was our cat that was found down by the Missouri River that my son adopted, our first cat ever. And she is super magic. And from the very, very moment that I met the Missouri River goddess, she's like, that's not your cat, that's my cat. I'm loaning her to you because she's one of the most powerful warriors. She's a person. She's completely a person like you are. Don't dare treat her any other way. And for real, from the very, very get-go. And I've been telling my son, this shit. We've been talking about these rituals, and my son's like, yeah, I had this dream, last night. He's like, it's crazy timing. He's like, I carry Kiki over to Grandma's house, my mother-in-law, whom in the dream I'm in her backyard, and Maria's saying, I am her. I'm her. And she wouldn't let me not agree. She said, do you understand? And I was like, And she said it because she switched bodies with me, and she let me have even 30 seconds. Like she said, Maria said, Joe, even 30 seconds, even 1 minute, I value. And I'm telling you, she said, what do I mean by saying I'm her? I mean respect her and recognize her and give her the energy and respect that you would give me. That's your test. You treat her like you would treat me if I didn't know what was going on and I was in her position. I'm telling you, she made me she said, look me in the eyes in the dream. She said, look me in the eyes. And I did. And with her mind in the dream, telepathically said to me, I am her. Right? And my son said, I had this dream that I carried the cat over there, and I set Kiki in a kitchen chair like a person, and she sat there just like a person with her head right at the table, like she was sitting there like a person. And she said, like, Grandma was doing all her normal shit, like getting me something to drink, and I'm sitting at the table, and I'm telling Grandma something. And he said there was like a little pause, and he said I was talking about Kiki. And I was saying, like, my cat did this, Kiki, my cat. And she said, Grandma turned around, and the cat, he said, to my just utter astonishment, he said, the Kiki, the cat, opened her mouth and just spoke with a human voice and said, Eli, I'm her cat, pointing to my mother-in-law. And he said, I laughed and said, you can speak English? She said something like, I'm telling you, I am her cat. And he said it was like a cute little cat voice. And the next ritual, he was like, and basically I woke up after that, like it was so crazy, so powerful that the cat was speaking English out loud, that I woke up. In the next ritual, Maria was like, you asked for 2 witnesses. You asked for, like she said, somebody trained you to ask for like a double evidence to be sure. She was like, are you sure now? She's like, did you give your son that dream or did I give your son that dream? She's like, Joseph, let me tell you, I know how to give people dreams, and I gave him that dream.
Underneath the moon sky, feel the vibe. Island breezes whisper low like a live tribe. Nana dance through the night, heart so free. With every swaying step, she's a melody. Roots in the soil, the only guide. But Nana guide us home. Through waters wild, to love we roam. River of Amor, flowing through our veins. True self reflected in love's strong chains. Together we rise, wash away the stains. Our souls intertwined, dancing in refrains. In the sunshine we never lost, just found echoes of laughter, we move through that sound. Colors of the sunset paint the ocean deep with not a spirit with but wake, never sleep. Unity we rise, no need to hide. The river speaks, it knows our name. Through every wave, we're called to reclaim. River of Amor, flowing through our veins. True self-reflected in love's strong chains. Together we rise, wash away the stains. Our souls intertwined, dancing in refrains. River of Amor, flowing through our veins. True self-reflected in love's strong chains. Together we rise, wash away the stains. Our souls intertwined, dancing in refrains. Sunflower seeds up and you shine forever bright. In the rhythm of love we ignite.